Hey there, I'm David.
And I'm Eddie.
And we are Full-Time Gays, and we're coming to you from
Camp Buckwood in Morgantown, Indiana.
Join us as we talk through our experience here over the last 2 weeks. Hey everybody, welcome to Camp Buckwood, which is a gay campground in
Indiana.
About
an hour south of Indianapolis.
Yeah, and it's actually fairly hilly here, which is interesting because most of Indiana you don't think of as hilly, but we asked about why, and somebody told us that this is as far south as the glaciers retreated in the last era of glaciers. Okay. So we're going to talk about our experience here. We've spent 2 weeks at the campground. It's the second to last leg of our 10-week road trip. So what we like to do is talk about 4 kind of areas. The big rig friendliness, like how easy is it to get to the campground, and then how easy is it to navigate within the campground once you're here. We're also going to talk about
the grounds and facilities, what kind of things they have for guests to do when you're here.
Yeah, like the amenities and the features and also the grounds, right?
Exactly. We're also going to talk about
the vibe. And the vibe is the really subjective one, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody has their own perception of a vibe. And so what we're gonna do is talk about our experience and then maybe what we've heard from other people around the campground and try to balance that with ours to make it as least subjective as possible. And then we'll wrap things up by talking about the internet, because we're full-time RVers and we both work for a living, and so internet is essential for us to be able to work. In fact, I was in Adobe Connect all week long, and so I'll tell you how that went. So let's start with
big rig friendliness. So we got here from Michigan, so we came down I-69, and once you get off the interstate, there's several miles where it's just nice backcountry road, wide lanes. It was easy to maneuver. Then you got off that road, and
well said.
And it changed. Very rural, very tight roads with some low-hanging branches
that
scratch, exactly. When you get up to the last road you have to take to get to the park, Spearsville Road, there is a 4-way intersection, which is a 3-way stop. We had the one side that didn't have a stop sign, and we had to make a right-hand turn. Someone also thought it was a really, really great idea to build either a house or a store or something literally right on the corner, so we can't cut the corner whatsoever. It starts up a hill, and we've got to make that right-hand turn, and we got to go all the way out. There was a car coming, so we had to stop. Let them go past the stop sign. David took his foot off the brake and we started rolling back down the hill.
Oopsie.
Once we got on Spearsville Road, that pucker factor went up another notch because now we have all the blind curves that we have to deal with, right? Now we get to the entrance of the park. There's another blind curve. It's basically a 90-degree turn to the left. That's banked like you would see on a racetrack. And the turn to the park is to the right. So we have to go down into the bank and then turn up to get into the park. Problem with that is with our truck, our rig, is the truck and trailer will twist at different angles. And now we've got the issue of where the trailer is about this close from hitting the top of the bed rail of the truck.
Yeah.
So
we interrupt this broadcast for an important update.
So when we film videos for you guys, we try to film on location at that park, so the backdrop shows you what the park looks like. However, sometimes after we've recorded our video, things could happen, and this is kind of why we're adding this little amendment to our video.
Yeah, normally it's inconsequential. It doesn't have any impact on what we would normally say. This is a little bit of an exception to that, and it has to do with big rig friendliness. And so we talked about, we've been there before,
right, and
that it was tight. It's tough getting in and out of the park, but it's doable, and that remains the case. However, the following morning of recording the video, when we were leaving the park, and this is not entirely on the park, this is on me a little bit too, I tried to change how we exited a little bit because we got so close to the bed rail of the truck, kind of combining or touching the underside of the fifth wheel. Right. I tried to shallow the turn a little bit so that we weren't taking the truck quite as far down that bank on the curve of the road. It seemed like a great idea. I thought it through. It was not the right idea. Well, let's count that into the group of things we never want to do again, please. We got it. No damage to the trailer
or truck.
Because what I didn't really realize until after the fact, looking at it, is that the driveway actually slopes the other way. And so even though there was less angle of the truck, there was more opposing angle on the trailer. And so as we were pulling out very slowly, looking at that that gap, it got closer and closer and closer, and finally I said, I think we're touching, or we're about to touch. So he got out.
I get out, I look, and sure enough, we're touching. No damage. Close though, like literally dew transferred from the truck to the trailer.
Yeah, it was a moisture, a wet kiss, a moist kiss. So we tried to reposition the trailer a little bit. Didn't really work, and so what we ended up having to do after about 20 minutes trying to figure it out, 20 minutes of blocking traffic, is boards. And we used boards to raise the side of the fifth wheel that was dipping so low relative to the truck. And it was, Eddie did this while I drove.
Yeah, we still had a bit of a space between where the trailer tires were and the edge of the road. So I'm putting boards down, but as he drives across the board, I'm grabbing the one behind it and putting in front of it so we can keep on going, and built a bridge to get out, basically.
Directing traffic the whole way.
Directing traffic.
It took us a long time, and it was really, really nerve-wracking. But we had been there before, and we got into the park, and so it is doable. And so I want to, and there's big rigs in the park as well.
Yep.
But any park that you have to be perfect on your turn to get in without causing potential damage is an issue, right? And I get that they can't really fix that from the road perspective, but I would highly encourage the owners of Buckwood to invest in a little bit more leveling on maybe their part of it, like the driveway side, so that there isn't that, maybe they slope it all a little bit to match the road, so that there's not such a delta there between the two. But whatever it is, you can get in, but it's really tough. And this was our toughest of 4 entrances and exits. So our rating is changed a little bit from what we originally said. Getting to the park, it's not the easiest thing in the world, but it's also not the toughest. But there are very limited routes that you can take if you have a really big rig. And so that lowers your choice, and you had to go out of our way to get to the interstate. So I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5 to get to the park. Totally doable. Yeah. And a 0 would be like, you can't even get there. Yeah. Right. And then for in the park, in the park itself, it's actually fine, but you still got to get into the park to be in the park. and that entrance is part the campground, part the city or the county or whatever. And so I'm going to give that a 1. 0 is you can't do it. You can do it, but maybe not everybody. If you have a motorhome, you might pop out a windshield. I don't know if that's ever happened, but we know it's happened at other places.
Yeah, and we've seen other motorhomes that sit way lower than we do. So
yeah. And so you can do it. I wouldn't not go there if you don't have the biggest of rigs, and even if you do, you could probably still do it. But that brings my score of big rig friendliness to a 3 out of 10.
Yeah, so I'm going to agree with you on getting to the park. It's manageable. The pucker factor is going to go up. So I'm going to agree with you on a 2. I'm not going to go quite as low on the park because it is the entrance. And again, like you said, if you can't get past the entrance, you can't get in the park. But the rest of the park was totally doable.
It is.
So
yeah, it totally
I'm going to give it a 2 on both. So I have a score of 4 and you had 3, so that's 3.5.
How magnanimous of you. All right, thank you for letting us interrupt this broadcast. Now back to our regularly scheduled programming.
So next we're going to talk about the grounds and facilities.
They're beautiful. There is a lot going on here. They have just this year done a lot more improvements. There is now an in-ground pool right next to the old pool that they had. They took out that old deck that used to be here. Yep. It's a beautiful patio area. They have a gorgeous fence that goes around it. They've got a new food truck that was just put in called Bucky's Grill or Buck's Grill or Buck Grill.
Buck's Grill.
It's right over there. In addition to that, though, they have a really nice outdoor kind of covered pavilion that can hold lots and lots of people. One of the biggest hot tubs I've ever seen. Huge. Yeah, like an in-ground hot tub. And that wasn't brand new. That was here last year. Yep. But it's like the social center. And from above, it's just really beautiful. Going outside of that social center, there's a really nice community fire pit. We haven't seen them use it at all. They tend to have little fires at lots of sites, but it's beautiful. It's got like a hay as the seats. Yep. Kind of almost looks like a stone circle from Stonehenge. Right behind that is a dog park, which is very spacious and nice. There's trees all throughout the park. We're in peak fall foliage right now, and it is
beautiful.
Beautiful. Actually, we're probably past peak by now. it's colder here than it has been other places.
It's ridiculous. We're going south tomorrow.
Yeah, we're running away from winter. So they also have a really nice trail system, multiple trails, long trails that are easy to walk. We can even segue on almost all of it, and we don't even have the off-road tires like some people here. And they've got a pond that is swimmable. Remember, we don't have alligators this far north. It wouldn't be my first choice to swim in, but they've got a little swim deck or swim platform in the middle of it. They've got a dock with some kind of like lake toys, canoes and whatnot. So that's very pretty. And they've got two sort of separate but very similar tent areas that are among the best we've ever seen.
It's actually 3 tent areas.
You're right. 3 tent areas. I'm sorry about that. And the 2 that I'm talking about are the nicest ones, and they're kind of behind us on either side. And they have water, they have electricity, it's all under tree canopy, so you can't even hardly see it from above. And people actually like leave their tents. We've never seen like perm sites with tents, but we have here. They have like storage things outside.
For tenters and day passers, there's actually storage lockers that you can lock up all your stuff and not have to worry about it.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot all about that. And they've got an indoor sort of like rec hall that they do like concerts and pageants in. They're continually improving the place, not just the pool, but they're like this week re-roofing.
Yeah, they've been re-roofing every building. That rec center you were just talking about, the indoor one, they have closed it this season because of COVID. So they're going through and remodeling it since they can't use it right now.
They've closed the chicken coop too.
Can we talk about that?
Nope.
Okay.
I'm sure there's more. Oh, the grounds, like of the sites themselves, they're not the sites themselves are well decorated. That's kind of a vibe thing, right? But they're not the biggest sites that we've seen, but they're also not the smallest. They're kind of medium, average size sites. Some are bigger than others, obviously.
Giggle.
And but they're beautiful. Now they don't have sewer. And that is a consideration for us and for a lot of folks. We don't have any issues at going to non-sewer campgrounds for like a week, especially if they have a honey wagon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. When I called to make the reservation here, they thought that they have a new honey wagon and they thought it would be ready, which is why we chose to stay for 2 weeks. I don't want to use the public bathroom in the middle of a pandemic, so we use ours. And so because they don't have the honey pot, because they don't have sewer, we got to use a Blue Boy for the first time ever. And what is a Blue Boy, honey?
Well, Blue Boy is a temporary holding tank for your trailer or RV's holding tank, so you can transport it to the dump station that's on site.
It's a portable poo pod.
It's exactly what it is. Our trailer actually has a 50-gallon holding tank for our ugly water. Yeah,
our black water.
But this Blue Boy only holds 12 gallons, so we had to do this several times.
But the important thing is that they do have this honey wagon, and it is supposed to be ready by next year. And by the time this video is even published, the place will be closed already for the winter, so it's irrelevant, really.
Yeah.
For anybody else. So
exactly, because come next year when it reopens, it's going to be ready to go. So.
Yeah. So on all that, I'm going to give it a 9. I think the grounds and facilities are really, really epic. If they had sewer, I'd give it a 10.
Totally agree with you. That honey pot would make it an 8 if it wasn't available. But again, it's going to be available next year, so 9 it is.
Okay, so for grounds and facilities, we have 9. So now let's talk about the vibe.
The vibe. So as we mentioned in videos before and in the beginning of this video, it's very subjective. The vibe can change from weekend to weekend, depending on the event, depending on who's here, depending on the weather. I mean, it just can change totally, right? Mm-hmm. So the other thing I want to mention before I talk about the vibe is when you get into a park this size where they have 120 sites, and this is RV sites and tent sites. Each site typically has 2 people. You're not going to have a 240 plus kumbaya every single weekend, which is actually probably a safe thing this year.
Yeah.
So by natural order, people just kind of get in their little pods of friends and they kind of stick with each other, right? Getting into that pod of friends, you do have to work just a little bit harder to get in. But once you're in, people are great. They are super friendly, super inviting. So me bringing this up is basically saying, if you are an introvert or slightly shy, you might have to work just a little bit harder to break through that hard candy shell of these groups, right?
Totally.
Do I have to talk anything about this?
No, I'll pick up from there. So, I mean, I agree with everything that you said. And you know, for us, we're pretty outgoing, and we've got kind of talking points, which, you know, let's be fair, help. You know, we have a huge rig, so like that's gonna be a good conversation starter.
Yep.
We've got our segues. We have my weather station. We've got
The YouTube channel.
The YouTube channel, yeah, and which is kind of finally starting to gain some traction, and we're really excited about that. So please hit
Thanks,
subscribe.
everybody.
Yes, thank you. But you know, so our experience has been great. Plus, we're outgoing, and so it was pretty easy for us to break through. But the fact that there is a kind of a breakthrough, and I've heard other people kind of mention that in passing too. It's no fault of anybody; it just kind of is what it is. And the fact that there's a 40-person wait list to be here tells you that it can't be bad. But I could completely see, like, I might give it like a 9 or a 10 if it was just about you and me.
Right.
But if I'm trying to empathize with what maybe somebody by themselves or somebody that's more introverted it might be a little bit lower because of that quote-unquote clickiness factor. So yeah, I'm gonna give it like a 7.
Yep, I'm gonna agree with you on that. It's people are just super friendly. I mean, you just gotta break through that hard candy shell, and then you're in, and everything's great. So 7 it is.
Okay, the last thing is the internet. And if you've watched our videos before, you know that we're full-time RVers, and we're not retired, so we have to work.
Damn it.
I know. And internet is so important for us. I mean, we use it for TV, we use it for work, we use it for... I guess we're kind of millennials in that respect, barely. Barely.
Barely.
Me more than you. But no, the internet here is good. I had a memory of it not being so great last year, and either it's improved or my memory was wrong. We use our Verizon hotspot. Really? Love you. We use
I hope so.
We use our Verizon hotspot, and I was in Adobe Connect all week giving a training class, and I had no issues at all. You work voice over IP.
Yep, my internet phone calls work just fine. And last night we watched the Biden town hall. There was no interruption in the TV service, no buffering, no nothing. It was perfect.
Yeah, and on top of that, the campground has already had fiber installed throughout the park, and they're gonna, I mean, I'm looking at a poll right now, and so next year that's supposed to be live, and so that'll eliminate even any issues that somebody would have if they have another carrier. We heard that AT&T is second best to Verizon here, that it's usable though. Sprint is still Sprint, and I don't know about T-Mobile.
T-Mobile?
T-Mobile.
I don't know her either.
I don't know either. But you know, but again, by the time that you come to this campground, they're gonna have everything. So I'm gonna give it like a 9.
Yeah, come next year when everything's turned on, it'll be a solid 10. So I'll again agree with you, 9.
Okay, 9. So that gives us
3.5
for Big Rig Friendliness.
Correct.
8 for grounds and facilities, right?
Got it.
And 7 for the vibe. And 9 for the interwebs.
Perfect.
Awesome. So would you come back?
I would. I'm a little spoiled by living most of my life in the South, so I think I would want to come back here when it's closer to the middle of summer. This cold stuff, no.
But he's so cute in a beanie. In fact, he was wearing a beanie when I met him. That's why I thought it was so hot.
It reeled him in.
16 years ago. Yeah, I would. I mean, we are back here. We came here last year. Part of it was because it was sort of on the way, right? But we did enjoy it. We didn't not like it, and we've liked it even better this year. I mean, they've made so many improvements, and I feel like we have friends here now. And the grounds are still beautiful. The internet upgrade is awesome. The pool upgrade is awesome. The food truck would be great if we weren't still ketoing.
I know.
But we're losing more weight. 22 pounds?
28 pounds.
28 pounds. But yeah, this is a wonderful campground. There's a reason that it has that many people. There's a reason that it's as big as it is.
There's a reason that there's a huge waiting list to get in here.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to come back here again, and I strongly recommend it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And on that note, thank you very much for taking the time to listen to our thoughts about Camp Buckwood. If you agree, let us know. If you disagree, let us know that too. We're always, we're still a new channel. We're trying to grow it. Please hit like, subscribe, and if you really like us, there's that little bell that'll give you an alert whenever we post a new video, which we try to do as close to weekly as possible.
Yep. And share the video so maybe other folks that are on your friends list could also hear from what we have to say about this place.
Absolutely. I am David.
I'm Eddie.
And we are in it together.